part 3 of our tutorial, we're going to start working on completing our worksheet. The next step in completing our worksheet is to calculate our adjusted trial balance. To calculate our adjusted trial balance, we're simply going to take our unadjusted trial balance and add any amounts of adjusting entries to get to the final total. So let's start with cash. So cash, note we have a debit balance. There's no adjustments to be made. So I'm simply going to take the debit balance and place it in the adjusted trial balance column. For accounts receivable, I start with a debit balance of $83,986. I have a debit adjustment balance, so I'm going to add the two debits together to increase my overall debit balance. So for my adjusted trial balance for accounts receivable, I'm going to take my unadjusted balance. To that, I'm going to add the debit adjustment amount to get my new adjusted trial balance total. Note for office equipment, I have a debit balance, but my adjustment is a credit. So when I have a debit balance and a credit balance, I have to subtract the two to get a net debit balance. So to get my adjusted trial balance for office supplies, I'm going to start with my debit balance. I'm going to subtract my credit balance. That will give me an overall debit balance. My prepaid rent, there was no adjustments made, so I can pick that total up directly. For my office equipment, note that there were no adjustments made to that, so I could pick that up directly. Note now, my accumulated depreciation has a credit balance. So that means I'm going to have a credit adjusted trial balance. So note, I have a credit entry in my unadjusted trial balance. I have a credit adjustment entry. So since both are the same, I'm going to add them together since I have two credits. So I'm going to take my accumulated depreciation balance, and to that, I'm going to add my credit adjustment balance to get my new credit balance for adjusted trial balance. Note my accounts payable, there's no adjustments made, so I can pick that total directly up. Unearned revenue, no adjustments made, I can pick that total directly up. My income taxes payable, there were no adjustments made. Notes payable, no adjustments made. So I'm just going to continue down, picking up the totals. My common stock, no adjustments were made. My retained earnings, no adjustments made. My dividends, note that has a debit balance now, so I have to put that in the debit column. My unadjusted trial balance tells me which column it should be in the adjusted trial balance. So if it is a debit balance in the unadjusted trial balance, it's going to be a debit balance in the adjusted trial balance. So I'm going to pick up my dividends in the debit column. Note that my revenue, I have two credit balances. So I'm going to add the two credit balances together to enlarge my overall credit balance for my adjusted trial balance. My salary expense, note I have two debits there. So I'm going to start with the debit. I'm increasing that balance with another debit entry. Note that my rent expense, there's no adjustments made to that. Note that my utility expense, no adjustments made to that. My income tax expense, I have no adjustments made to that as well. Note that my interest expense, there's no unadjusted trial balance, but I do have adjustments made. So since my adjustment is a debit, I'm going to go ahead and put that as my debit balance. Note that my office supplies expense is a debit balance. Note that my depreciation expense for my office equipment is a debit balance. My salaries payable, that is a credit balance. And my interest payable is a credit balance. So to double check myself, I want to make sure that when I'm all said and done, my total debits equal my total credits. So I'm just going to sum up these two totals here. So I'm just going to copy my formulas here. And I want to make sure that my total debits equal my total credits. And now my adjusted trial balance column is complete.